You hear me without mic? Powerful people always wanted to conquer the world. And as we all know, few of them, Hitler and Alexander the Great. Recently I came to know about a person called Genghis Khan. He's a Mongolian emperor. He's popularly known as a horse rider who turns into an emperor. And he almost succeeded his dream to conquer the world. At the deathbed, he called his sons and said that, see, I wanted to have that immortality because I was enjoying the power as an emperor. But here I am, becoming a sick person and will die soon. And he entrusted his emperor or his kingdom to his sons. Later, if we notice the history, we know that they perished. They were not successful to continue his legacy. So also, Alexander, who wanted to conquer, was also a great warrior. At the age of 32, he died, and he called his generals and said that, see, may the strongest may continue. May the strongest may continue. And later, we know that from the history, the generals fought each other and his kingdom was collapsed. Many wanted to conquer, that's the point. But somehow they were all successful. But the continuation was lacking always. And when I heard the word with one heart and one mission, is it? One in heart, one united in mission. The first thing, I'm so sure of the message, but they have written it here, but I want you to be active. That's it. That's only reason. Okay. When I heard one in heart, I felt that I should bring out an example who had the best continuation. Because it's easy to start, but very difficult to continue and have that continuation. Somehow it's difficult to start, but comparatively, it's difficult to, continuation is most difficult. And as we read in the Gospel, I felt that Jesus was the best example of having one in heart. Because he's the one who assembled these 12 apostles. I would say assembled, not literally assembled. He took it from there, from here, and some group of people from here, and put it together just like a bike or a car or a machine. 12 different people came together, and I would use the word assembled. He assembled the apostles, and that was the foundation. That was the foundation. And can anyone say names of 12 apostles? I should look, but you can say it. Yeah, at least one. Peter. Yeah, then. Judas. 2. Then. Yeah, easy ones I said. John. Yeah. Matthew. Then.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Bartholomew.
Then who else? Simon. How many Simons? 2 or 1? 2 Simons. Almost, yeah. And see, these 12 apostles, and some of them were fishermen. Simon, Luke, Andrew, James, John, and they also say Philip. Philip also. 5 of them were fishermen. Then we have Matthew. Who was Matthew? Then we have Simon. Who was Simon? Simon the Zealot. Yeah. Then Judas who? Right. And we have Bartholomew, Thomas, James, Alphaeus, and Judas Thaddeus. Yeah. Then 5 fishermen. And you notice in the Gospels, Thomas, about the job of Thomas, nothing is mentioned. And they say that Thomas was either a tradesman or a businessman. I don't know if both are same or not, but tradesman. He was a tradesman. And after the death of resurrection, when Peter said, "See, I'm going for fishing," you would see Thomas is going with Peter. Yeah, Thomas is joining with Peter. He was not a fisherman, but he joined with the Peter. He was considered as the head of the apostles. And now we come to Matthew. And when we heard from the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew says that when Matthew introduced himself, he says that Matthew the tax collector. In all other Gospels, we don't see that Matthew the tax collector in the name of the apostles. Only in the Gospel of Matthew we see that Matthew introduced himself as Matthew the tax collector. And Jerome says that that's because Matthew wanted to be humble. Matthew wanted to be humble and say that, "See, I was only a tax collector." And if you notice the group, you had some Matthew, the tax collector, and you also know Simon, the zealot. And tax collector is someone who is supporting the government. No? Let's say like that, supporting them. And zealot is someone who is against the government and who is with the people. And tax collector, people used to hate him, but government loved him. Zealot, what happens? People like them, but government hated them. So, and these two different people come together under Jesus. No, under the one table of Jesus. Like that, both had different visions, different ideologies, different thinking. But what happened? They were together. And God chose. He assembled. And we would also see that and we will also see John. The character of John was always to be with his brother. You know, when Jesus was taken them to Tabor for transfiguration, who were with him? James. Yeah, he was always with his brother. And finally, when Mary Magdalene comes and says that, "See, Christ is risen, Christ is taken away." And what happened? Three of them were running. John, Peter and Mary Magdalene were running. And comparatively, John, who was a younger, he reached at the tomb and he waited for Peter. And they say that because John had so much respect towards his elder brother. That's why he did. Sometimes he was afraid to go inside alone. Let's say he waited for Peter to come. But let's put in this word. He was waiting for Peter, the leader, to come. And finally, I would also put an example that this group were very particular. And when you see James says, when Jesus was rejected by the villagers, he says that, "See, Lord, I will bring the thunder from the heaven and burn them alive." No? And he was so furious that Jesus was rejected. And we would see him as a second in command in apostles. But he was the first one who was a martyr among the apostles. This was the apostles of Jesus. This was the differences they had. This was a different mindset they had. And we can say that he assembled them well. What was their one point? What was their holding them was they were so good in one in heart, because they had different thinking, different ideologies, different jobs. Some of them hated each other. And you would also see Matthew was very good at keeping the record because he was a tax collector. But Jesus gave money to who? Judas. See, Matthew was so good with all his talent to keep the money, but Jesus taken that money and given to Judas. was so not so good. So the group was so imperfectly perfect. Everybody didn't get what they wanted. Everybody didn't have what they want to achieve. Matthew had a desire maybe to keep the money, but Jesus says, no, you are not. Give to Judas. And James, who wanted to kill them, and Jesus says, no, that is not the way. And that's what I say, he assembled his apostles. They were one in heart because of Christ. Because of Christ. And so also they were very imperfectly perfect. And maybe let's put into this way, what was the taking point from this group? We may be the most talented in our congregation. Doesn't mean that you would get the best position. You may be having the best knowledge of thinking about a thing, but doesn't mean that you will be accepted. We are so imperfectly perfect within our congregation. But when we are ready to embrace that imperfectionality, and we can be one in heart, just like disciples. Just like a disciple. John was very fast, but he waited for Peter. Matthew was very good at mathematics, but he gave up for Judas. And who else? Thomas, maybe he didn't know anything about fishing, but he joined with Peter. And maybe that's taking point. One in heart is to live together. Live together in imperfectionality. We are not looking for perfection, but striving for perfection. We are trying to get that perfection. It's not necessary to have that perfection. Who is perfect? So also, imperfect me looking for a perfection is others. That's a Phariseeism. I'm not perfect, but I'm looking for a perfection. No. I'm imperfect, so also my brother is imperfect. That has to be there. Because I am very much, if I am perfect, okay. No, I am imperfect and I'm still looking for a perfection in my brothers. That may not be right. And one in heart is very important how that kind of imperfectly perfect union. Secondly, I will come to the point mission. One mission, right? United in mission. No? That mission, I would say that we should have a clarity of a mission. When the clarity of mission is there, the rest of the things we will arrange accordingly. When I am sure, suppose if I want to become a doctor, yes, that is there. And I could arrange myself to reach there. And if I am not having that clarity, and that's a problem. Father Dehon, in his words, because to his founders, they say, Dehon, he would say that his life motto was, your kingdom come, your kingdom come. That's what Dehonian USA says in the website. They say that your kingdom come. That was his life motto. He wanted to build everything around it. That clarity he had. What kind of clarity do we have? Let's ask that what should be our aim? What should be as a congregation, as a region, as a district, as a region and as an area, or as a seminarian, or as a superior? What should be my aim? And that clarity leads me into my life. And we say we have that oblation and liberation, and Philippines region, they put a beautiful words like that. Responding to Christ's love with total self-giving, self-offering, oblation is very important. Then reparation, they say that desire to heal spiritually and socially the wounds of humanity also important. That is what they mean reparation. So one is responding to Christ's love, that is oblation. Responding to Christ's love, that is oblation, because when I am so sure of my clarity of my mission, I will be obliged. I will be obliged. Then we have something called reparation, which is a desire to heal. When I am so sure about my mission, I will have that desire to heal all those things. So, my dear brothers, today we are celebrating Father Dehon, one of the wonderful human being, one who has written lot of books, and I would say that we are so privileged to be in the congregation. When we are inside this house, when we are inside this one, we may not realize how beautiful our congregation is, but when you go out, when you meet other people, when you go out and see, have a wider view, you will see that we are so beautiful as a congregation, so beautiful as a brothers, so beautiful as a Dehonians. And I wish that may all of us be proud of being Dehonians, and maybe have a clarity in our mission, and so also maybe also so united, just like disciples were so imperfectly perfect. Thank you and happy feast day all.